Welcome to RealiTeen, the show for teens, by teens, about teens. I'm JK, and I'm not kidding. And I'll be your host. Today we're talking about relationships. Now, relationships are hard, especially for teenagers. But one way teenagers are able to learn about things are through a little friendly competition. I'm joined today by Tina Giel and Kathleen Larkin, seniors at the Mary Lewis Academy, Damian Zajac, a senior at St. Francis Prep, and Anthony Caccaro, a senior at Cathedral Prep. Everyone, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so today we're going to be playing a little game I like to call relationships, guys versus girls. Basically what we're going to be doing is I'm going to ask a question, and you're going to write your answer on your board. When I ask you to flip, you're going to flip your board, and then you're going to elaborate on your answers. You guys all ready?
Yeah.
Okay, your first question is, how do you define relationship? And go. Here we go. I'm seeing some good answers. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Guys, I love your writing. Maybe you should do some more. Don't let them see.
Is it a secret?
It is a secret.
Oh no.
This should be interesting. All right, guys, y'all ready?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. 1, 2, 3, flip. All right. Let's start with the girls. Tina, why did you guys pick commitment?
Well, we picked commitment because we feel that no matter what goes on in a relationship, it could always keep going if you just are willing to do it. Hence the definition, commitment.
Okay. Kathleen, why do you think commitment is important to relationships?
Well, it's not really much of a relationship if you're seeing other people, you know, if you're not with your one person.
Okay, so very monogamous.
I mean...
Damian, why did you guys pick two-way street? First, can you tell me what a two-way street would be?
Well, a two-way street is when both partners feel like a mutual understanding with each other. So both are trustworthy with each other, both are honest with each other, and whatever one does, the other reciprocates. And I feel like that's important in a relationship because if someone's doing their own thing and then the other person is doing their own thing, it doesn't really, work out,
Anthony, can you give me an example of how a two-way relationship could be avoided in a relationship?
What do you mean by a two-way relationship?
Or a two-way street?
Oh, well, I don't think you should avoid it in a relationship because if you're in a good relationship, you'd be giving and taking.
All right. Now, girls, do you agree with the guys' two-way street?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And guys, do you think you could agree with the girls' commitment?
Definitely.
Totally.
Okay, so it seems like everyone's getting a point on that round. All right, your next question is going to be, what do guys look for in a partner? Now, this is going to be an interesting one. Now, the guys clearly already know what guys look for in a partner. So, I'm curious to see what the girls think a guy looks for in a partner. On your marks, get set, go.
It's supposed to be like a silly answer. Like a legit answer. I don't know.
Make it legit. I think they would already know what a guy would look for.
Yeah.
Funny and sweet.
Kindness.
What? Yeah, exactly. So can I put funny and sweet?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoa!
Do you have an issue with this answer?
I have no issues with these answers.
Right, secret.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, flip. Now, funny and humor, those are pretty similar. Tina, why would you think a guy wants a funny girl?
Well, I think guys or people in general don't enjoy boring relationships or boring conversations, so being funny kind of gets rid of that.
All right. Kathleen, why do you think a guy would look for a sweet girl?
Well, if you're spending so much time with her, as I'd assume you would with a girlfriend, you wouldn't want to spend time with somebody who's mean to you. And if you're bringing her home to your parents.
You want her to be sweet.
Exactly. You don't want to bring somebody, you know, rude home.
I wouldn't want to bring someone rude home.
Well, there you go.
Cool. Guys, why do you want a funny girl? Why is that the most important thing in a girl to you?
Because if she's boring, then the relationship might get boring, and you know, you want something that keeps you on your feet, you know?
Okay. Why didn't you pick something like trust or commitment to be what a guy looks for in a girl?
Well, because at first, like, those are things that you have to reach for. Humor is, you know, on the surface. You can see it immediately, and it's good to connect through humor.
Okay. Connections. Good thing in a relationship. Question number 3. What do girls look for in a partner? All right, let's see
That's
what the
a very good
guys are going to
question.
write for this one. On your mark, get set, go.
Ooh,
Now, in this
that's a good
case,
answer. I
the
like that.
guys are trying to guess what they look for, while the girls already know. I'm hoping that we could get a little bit of a discussion going from this.
Sorry.
I think it's pretty broad.
All right. Oh, underline for emphasis.
Underlined and everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 1, 2, 3, flip them. Chivalry.
Huh.
Now, Kathleen, can you tell me what chivalry is?
Oh, no.
Tina, you want to tell me what chivalry
Oh,
is?
no, I've got it.
Okay.
You know, general politeness.
Just politeness?
I mean, above and beyond normal politeness, I guess. Holding doors open.
Tina, can you elaborate?
Wow, fine.
Well, I think being chivalrous is something that's been going away in these years. So I feel like being chivalrous as opposed to being casual or informal, you know, it kind of gives a little spark to a guy. So
A little spark? What do you
a little
mean?
spark, because it's not something that you find so often anymore.
I'm not quite sure what you're finding right now, but
Well, I don't know. Guys have just been a little rude to girls, you know, nowadays. Not everyone, you know, that's not, you know, a blanket statement. But I think what Tina's trying to say is that girls, they look for it and they appreciate it when they find it.
now why didn't you guys pick humor or funniness for a guy? Tina?
Well, I feel like that's a lot more common. I wanted to pick something that really stood out to me, like chivalry.
Chivalry stands out. It's a big word.
That was last round's answers. Funny and
Good point. Damien and Anthony. Charms. Anthony, what are charms?
Well, I mean, you know, it's how you get a girl to notice you, you know. Some girls find different things charming, like being shy, you know, it's considered cute, or, you know, saying the right things. Things like that are good.
Putting on the moves. A little flirting going on.
Yeah.
Damien, why do you think a girl would want a guy with charms?
Well, it's the same thing that the girls said. It's all about spark, and you know, that's what you want to look for. You know, spark, like just
Spark.
spark,
Like fire.
fire.
It's like the fireworks that people feel in kisses. All right. Question number 4. What is the ideal number of calls a couple should exchange in a day?
Christian and I are going to clash on this.
On your mark, get set, go.
I agree. Yes. Circle for emphasis. Why are you laughing?
That's all the guys answer.
Oh no.
1, 2, 3, flip them.
Oh.
Anthony, why 0?
Well, I mean, I'm very busy during my day, and it's a little inconvenient, because when you talk with someone, you can get into a very deep conversation. I feel like that's something that should be saved for a person.
Okay. Damien, why would you agree with him on such a low number?
I like the personal connection better, so I'd rather meet the person in person and talk about it, or, you know, slide some texts, because in this generation, like, no one really has time for phone calls, but you can always slide like a text here and there, and the personal connection is much stronger, you know?
Well then, how often would you say a couple should meet in person?
Maybe twice a week.
Twice a week. Okay. Girls, can you agree on twice a week?
Well, I mean,
I'd hope
that's
for
not my
more,
life,
but not bad.
All right, Tina, why did you guys agree on 1?
We agreed on 1 because nowadays FaceTime has become very useful, and we think that, you know, calling someone once a day, that's enough, because if you're talking to them all day, you might not be talking to them the entire time. But if, you know, you're at least almost with them when you're video chatting with them or something. So I feel like 1 should be enough.
All right. Now, Kathleen, I happen to know as your brother
no.
that you are an avid user of
That's
FaceTime.
not true.
Avid user of FaceTime. How long do you think a FaceTime call with said boyfriend should last?
Wow, this is personal. I mean, I happen to be in a long-distance relationship, so our conversations are usually an hour. Okay, that's not true. A few hours long. But it makes up for the fact that we don't get to see each other twice a week, like what was mentioned as the ideal. We don't see each other, you know, twice a month if we're lucky, so we make up for it through calls.
Okay.
So it varies. It depends on your relationship.
I could deal with that. Number 5. Would you compromise your happiness for the success of the relationship? On your mark, get set, go. It's really funny hearing them deliberate. I love it.
Stop that.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Would you compromise your happiness for the success of the relationship?
I underlined for emphasis twice. I agree.
And, oh,
Guys, you're slacking.
flip them.
Oh,
I'm personally more of a fan of the frowny face.
can I fix it?
No,
Is
you
there
don't.
time for that?
How about no? No.
Wow.
Now, I'm glad to see an agreement on this. Damien, why wouldn't you compromise your happiness for the relationship?
Because it's not really a relationship if I'm not happy. Again, going back to the two-way street thing, like, you want both people to be happy in the relationship. And if I'm not happy, but the other person is happy, for example, then I don't think that, you know, it should continue.
I think that really summarizes it well. Like, you know, you shouldn't be in a relationship if you're not happy with the relationship. I think you could all agree on that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then let's move on to the next one. And I'm going to have fun with this. Number 6. What would you define as cheating? On your mark, get set, go. This is usually where we see guys and girls clash.
I just don't know what that way may be.
SAT words are permitted. That's spelled incorrectly.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm agreeing more with the girls at this point.
That's biased.
I'm happy you corrected your spelling.
Thank you, JK.
It was all me.
Yes. So I'll underline. Okay, okay.
That's like the same thing, man.
Yes, but I don't want them to see it. And flip them. Okay. I'm going to go with the girls first. Tina, first, can you tell me what emotional infidelity is?
Emotional infidelity is not only doing something physical to cheat on someone, but kind of having it in your head that, you know, I'd rather be with this person than this person. You know, it's like the mindset of it.
Okay. So your head should be totally invested in the relationship.
Yes.
Kathleen, what about physical intimacy? Where do you think the line in the sand is?
Well, I think physical intimacy speaks for itself if you're doing anything that you'd usually do with your partner with someone else who is not your partner, clearly. That is infidelity. And I guess the line in the sand is if you're aware that you are committing said actions.
Okay. Guys, intimacy. infidelity, intimacy. I like the big I words. Damien, what would you define intimacy as?
Well, I learned that this generation views intimacy as like the physical connection, you know, they associate it with like, you know, sex and stuff. But I learned that it's not just about that. It's not just about the physical. Intimacy is also the emotional connection and like being comfortable with someone. So if you're intimate with someone else, like you're basically getting a personal attachment as well. So that would be considered cheating, like I guess, because you're getting attached to that person rather than the person you were already attached to, you know?
Okay. Anthony, do you agree with the girls that it's not just the physical infidelity, but it's also the emotional infidelity?
I think emotional infidelity can be more damaging to a relationship than physical infidelity, because you can kind of get over that. You can say it was a mistake or it happened, but something that's emotional isn't necessarily going to change with time.
I could definitely agree with that. Number 7. If your partner cheated on you, is there any situation in which you would forgive them? On your marks, get set, go. Seeing their answers to the last question, I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to go with this. Girls, you gotta learn to hide your board.
Sorry.
That's how
I'm
she
sorry.
writes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
Uh-huh.
But from your answers, which you can now flip, it seems like you would not be forgiving him for cheating. Why not?
You mean we would be forgiving?
Oh, you would? Oh,
Yes.
that is true.
Yes.
Why would you be forgiving him for cheating?
Well, like I said with the last answer, you know, if they weren't aware of their actions or if it was just physical and they were having fun and, you know, they got swept away in a moment, I can understand that.
Tina, what about emotional infidelity?
Well, emotional infidelity, I don't think I'd be able to forgive as easily for reasons that Anthony mentioned. But when you asked the question, the first thing that came to my mind was physical, because that's what most people think of it as. So I agree with Kathleen on that.
Okay. Anthony, do you think that you could agree with both types of infidelity? Do you think you could forgive someone for committing either, or is there one that you would find harder to forgive than the other?
Well, I mean, like, it would depend on why the person cheated. That would play a big factor in how quickly you could forgive them, or even if you could, like, if someone cheated on you because they love the other person, then I don't think you can really get past that.
Damien?
I have to completely agree with Anthony. If they love the other person, then, you know, I can't really forgive that. But in some cases, you know, if it was like a mistake, like, you know, we're going to be college students. People make mistakes all the time in college, you know. You really can't, like, blame the person sometimes, especially, like, if you put a lot of work into the relationship. You don't want to throw that all away. It's not that easy to, like, throw away so much work, you know.
I completely agree. Getting past cheating for a little while, you know, let's liven up the mood a little bit. Number 8. What's the single most important thing for a relationship to be successful? 1, 2, 3, go. Now, I'm hoping
do
they
a
don't
better
see
job of
this
hiding
answer
it.
as the same thing as how you would define a relationship. I think there's kind of a fine line in between what a relationship is and what makes a relationship successful. You're still not doing a good job.
Excuse me. I improved from last time.
Improvement counts.
Thank you.
I wish I could say that you spelled that incorrectly, but I'm not quite sure.
Maybe you should go back to school.
Well, I'm here right now. 1, 2, 3, flip them. Openness.
All right, that's close.
It's pretty close. It's pretty close. Willingness, openness. All right. Why did you guys say openness?
Well, I mean, we were torn between honesty and openness because, like, there is a fine line, but you can be honest with someone and still hide a lot of things from them. You have to be able to say what you're feeling in the moment and whatnot.
Okay. Damien, how would you guys define openness?
Well, openness would simply be expressing how you feel to someone and not really hiding the important details that could possibly influence the relationship later.
Okay. Tina, honesty. Why do you think honesty is so important to a relationship?
I think honesty is important because if you're not honest with each other, it's not real, you know? It's not an actual relationship because there's no connection there anymore. You've basically just made the entire relationship a lie. So honesty is a big factor, I do believe.
Okay. And Kathleen, willingness. What do you guys mean by willingness?
Well, you have to be willing to put the work into your relationship. If you really care about your partner, that's going to be your top priority, is making it work with them. If you don't really care about making sure the relationship, you know, goes on, it's not a relationship.
Do you think that willingness could also mean the two people involved in the relationship should try to meet in the middle, will each other more towards
Yeah,
a
because
better
if you're willing
relationship?
to make the relationship work, then that means that you're willing to make compromises.
Great. Guys, can you agree with them on that?
Entirely.
Great.
Completely.
Number 9. In a relationship, what would make you feel happier? Sharing or sacrificing? On your mark, get set, go. Now, while they're answering, I just want to make sure that everyone knows. Sharing and sacrificing are pretty different things. When we're talking about sharing, we mean more that the two people in the relationship are able to will each other towards each other in a stronger sense. When we're talking about sacrificing, we're more talking about one member of the relationship responding to the other person in a way that, even though they might not be happy with the end result, they're happy that the relationship is still successful. It looks like we've got our answers.
got a smiley.
Oh, the guys don't have a smiley this time. And flip them. I've always got to go with the smiley first. Tina, why sharing?
I think that sharing is more of, you know, you both give 100%, you both take 100%. Whereas sacrificing, I feel like it's more one-sided as opposed to two-sided. One person is, you know, giving 80 and taking 20, and that's just not fair.
Okay, that's like going back to their two-way street. Kathleen, can you give us an example as to where sacrificing would be better? Or do you think that sharing is always the better option?
I think sharing is always the better option because with what Tina said, if you're sacrificing, then one person is usually sacrificing for the other person. When you're sharing, it's both people giving or taking. They're working together.
All right. Guys, you could agree with them on that?
Yeah.
Completely.
Great. Number 10. How do you vent out your frustrations in a relationship? On your mark, get set, go. Now, venting out your frustrations is a very interesting thing in a relationship. I feel like there's being honest and there's being open, which are two very different things. Honesty is just making sure that you're not lying to your partner. But total openness is more when you could really tell them about how you're feeling in the moment, as Damien said earlier. So I'm very interested to see where they go with this.
What?
Oh, I thought that said something different.
I thought you were upset by the lack of smiley.
I am upset by that.
I'm sorry, but
Beautiful.
can you repeat the question one more
Repeat the
time?
question. How do you vent out your frustrations in a relationship? Do you know what that means?
Yeah.
Great.
I added a smiley for your benefit.
Yes, I'm digging that smiley. It is beautiful. Can you just give him a face?
Wow,
You mean a head?
A head.
fine.
Now that's a cute smiley. Very cute.
They're adding a nicer smiley, aren't
No,
they?
their smiley is much worse. 1, 2, 3, flip.
Ooh,
Well, I started with you guys last time.
but our smiley's nicer.
I'm sorry. Damien, what do you guys mean by using I and you?
Well, that's communication. You would say, when you do this, I feel like this.
All
That's
right.
very important because you're able to be open and it doesn't seem like you're blaming anyone. You're getting both sides of it.
Very good answer.
Okay, so Damien, would you say that's going back to your two-way street from earlier?
Of course. I'm probably sounding like a broken record at this point, but it's all about the two-way street. Like, you have to look at both sides of the coin in every argument, I think. So you really want to look at, like, you know, how they feel about a certain thing you did and how you feel about a certain thing they did.
Okay. Tina, talking it out. Why do you think talking it out is so important?
Well, first of all, it gets whatever's happening off your chest, so you become a little more relaxed, which makes it easier to, fix the problem. On top of that, sometimes it's just better to hear someone else's perspective of it, whether it be, the person that you're actually having problems with, or if you're going to an outside source, such as a best friend.
Okay. Kathleen, do you think there's any situations in which talking it out is not the best idea and it would be better to see both sides of the story? Or do you think that they kind of concur with each other?
I think they do concur with each other because if you're talking it out, you are seeing both sides of the story. I mean, if you're talking it out correctly.
Okay. Now, I think you guys could do a quick speed run. We have about enough time for one more question. So our last question of the day is, when do you think a person is ready for marriage? On your marks, get set, go. Now, I know marriage is a big word for teenagers to be using sometimes because college is already almost seen as a curse word to us. But when we're talking about marriage, it's less about the actual act of marriage, but it's more about seeing your partner in the light of their own eyes, seeing them as a person who could totally commit to a relationship that's strong enough to go the distance. So I'm really interested in seeing both sides of this. And, all right. That's a terrible smiley face, but all right.
Oh.
No, it's too late. 1, 2, 3, flip them. True love. Damien, what is true love?
Going back once again to the two-way
Oh
street thing. You want to make sure that everything in the relationship is like happy and two-sided. So you want to make sure that they're just as happy as you are. You want to make sure that they trust you just as much as you trust them. And you want to make sure that both of you are going for the same goal. So you both feel the same, you both want to get married. You both feel that same goal, like that common goal. And you want it to be with each other. You don't want it with anyone else,
Okay. Anthony, how do you think a person knows that they are truly in love?
Well, there's a difference between being truly in love and being in love. When you're truly in love, then you don't have to worry about the honeymoon phase as much. You don't see these perfections. You don't see them as like, oh, everything's great about them. It's when you realize the person's fault and you say, I can deal with this and work with them anyway.
Okay.
Because you love them.
I like that. Tina, when everything is stable enough.
Well, I don't know about Kathleen, but I thought that the true love part was kind of already, implied. So we took it the more practical route. When you want to get married, you don't want to be in financial ruin or, not have some place to live. You want to make sure that you have a place where you can start a family and, let your relationship grow that much easier.
That sounds great. Today we've been able to cover a lot about relationships and teenagers being in them. We've been able to talk about the stability of relationships, the two-way street of relationships, and exactly how you could tell if your partner is truly committed. Thanks for being with me today, guys.
Thanks
for having us.
This has been RealiTeen. Thanks for watching.